On a busy street corner in an affluent Midtown Manhattan neighborhood, a group of 30 people gather at a picket line outside of a Hot and Crusty bakery, holding signs denouncing worker abuse and passing out coffee and donuts. It's part of a worker justice cafe, where for a small donation, customers can get the food they were accustomed to purchasing at the establishment and learn about workers' rights. This picket, a collaborative effort between the workers and Occupy Wall Street, started when the Hot and Crusty Café's franchise owner, Mark Sampson, retaliated against workers who formed a union. Sampson responded by closing the store and firing all the workers. Murillo Ortega worked close to 7 years at Hot and Crusty. He said the cafe owner and management violated wage laws and harassed workers.
Continuamos una línea de piquetes que nos propusimos desde que cerró la tienda el día 31 de agosto, con el fin de presionar al dueño para que en cuanto vuelva a abrir nos recontrate y además que reconozca la unión.
Many of the Hot and Crusty employees worked 70-hour weeks, receiving an average hourly wage of $6 without overtime pay and no paid sick days. Workers also recounted stories of sexual harassment and verbal abuse, often about their immigration status. Mark Sampson, the former owner of Hot and Crusty, was unavailable for comment. Rosanna Rodriguez helped start the community organization Laundry Worker Center to train immigrants in organizing and labor rights. Speaking from the picket line, she said Occupy Wall Street became a training ground for leadership development for their members.
Creemos que este es un grupo donde se puede aprender mucho, donde es una manera diferente de organizar, de crear beneficios para la fuerza trabajadora en los Estados Unidos. Y yo creo que este movimiento ha sido diferente desde el principio. Revolucionario, que es lo que queremos.
Mahomar Lopez, an employee at Hot and Crusty, has been participating in the Occupy Wall Street movement over the past year. When a Mexican caravan to stop the drug war recently converged with Occupy Wall Street on Zuccotti Square, he joined in.
Históricamente ganamos una unión que fue creada por los trabajadores únicamente.
He spoke about the collaborative spirit of Occupy Wall Street and how it's key to their current campaign, pressuring Hot and Crusty management to reopen the store.
Más que nada la coalición es súper importante, crear coalición con diferentes grupos que están interesados en el movimiento laboral es de suma importancia porque el apoyo va en diferentes direcciones, como un grupo de Occupy Wall Street que es radical y que toma decisiones radicales, que al mismo tiempo nos impulsa a nosotros a hacer una acción como la de ocupar un lugar de trabajo. Esto definitivamente es súper radical y eso es lo que realmente mueve a las compañías a llegar a negociaciones, ¿no?
When Occupy Wall Street started, many criticized the movement for being composed of mostly young, privileged white men that were dismissive of worker and immigrant rights. To address those issues, Nastaran Mohit, a longtime community activist in New York, helped form the Immigrant Worker Justice Working Group of Occupy Wall Street.
It just naturally, Occupy, even though it opened up an incredible historic space for people to discuss these issues in this country and change the discussion, I think just by nature is very exclusionary, right? For so many of us that have been working in immigrant communities, with different communities across New York City, it was just within those first few weeks that Occupy started, we recognized that there was a huge deficiency in this movement and that it really didn't include the voices of these communities. And that's why the Immigrant Worker Justice Working Group was formed.
This working group is one of the few committees that started as part of Occupy Wall Street that still regularly meets and organizes. Michael Belt moved to New York City shortly before Occupy started. After being involved with various committees within the Occupy movement, he was drawn to the community-based work of the Immigrant Worker Justice Group and sees it as the next stage of Occupy.
So Occupy Wall Street is just a unique opportunity that arose last fall. And in terms of like what it produced at that moment was it captured national discourse and actually changed the ways in which people conceptualize their problems. So in that moment, people identified capitalism as a problem, right, that wasn't working for everyday people. And from there, I think that we've seen that Occupy is just transitioning. It's not dead, it's not over, it's just changing, which is good. So instead of focusing on discourse, we see Occupy now focusing on coming up with solutions to problems in people's lives. And so it's amazing. So then you have all these offshoots of identifying the ways in which resources are distributed and political power is shaped within the United States, and you see that manifesting in all these different moments. So you have people addressing environmental issues, you have people addressing immigration and labor issues, race issues, police brutality in the Bronx. Like, you have all these different manifestations of the ways in which people lack power in their lives. You see all these people coming up with different solutions and proposals to change that. And so that's what Occupy is doing now.
The workers are hoping to return to work in the coming weeks and say they will remain vigilant until the store actually opens. They'll also be strengthening their newly created union and organizing against wage theft at other Hot and Crusty stores. Members of the Immigrant Worker Justice Group say they will continue to support and collaborate with the workers so that their critiques of the 1% can have a real impact on the material conditions of people's lives. Angela Janal with Free Speech Radio News and the Real News Network, New York City.